Hey everybody, this is Rodney Watson. Running against Jimmy Stevens in the District 3 County Commission race. I made that video yesterday about the situation in Birmingham. And I've had this happen a couple of times. Posters keep posting me. You know, well, what are you going to do? You keep complaining about Jimmy. What are you going to do? Well, and I've said all this before, and I don't know if it gets lost in the way I'm telling it or what, but I'm going to tell you what I want to try to do, and I'm going to tell you about why this racism deal and this city situation is such a bad deal for us, and it had to set us back 30 years. But on the litter and the trash problem, the illegal dumps, I've talked about I want to put some litter cams up. I want to get the sheriff involved to help write some tickets. He may have to have some more funding. He may not have enough help to do that. I want to take control of the dump stations and lower the fees for people. Alright? On the storm shelters, I want to establish a policy where they open up during a watch, and there's be somebody there the whole time the watch is issued. And that's probably going to have to be a deputy, because somebody's got to keep order. And that's going to take asking the sheriff to help and give him more funding. This comes out after the principal down at Concord said she opened up the storm shelter down there one time, and she couldn't keep order. People was roaming all up through the school, and dogs got in a fight, and people would leave the door open. She just couldn't keep order. Well, that takes a sheriff's deputy to do that, or some type of law enforcement. And but they have to be paid to be there. I want to lower the regulation in the most rural areas to help people that's deciding between us or another county, that we can compete with that other county so they can come on in here. Quit being so burdensome on them. If they want to give them a little bit more freedom in the most rural areas than you have up here in the areas that's more populated. I want to try to recruit a business that employs about 1,000 or more people down here in the West Jefferson area. I guess down here between Adamsville and West Jefferson, the town of West Jefferson, along that I-22 corridor. I'd like to see it in Jefferson County. I don't want to see it over the line. We've got to try to get this northern belt line, the other end of 459, the other side of it. We got to try to get it back into focus and see why that's been promised to us for 20 years and we still don't have it. Probably don't have a whole lot of direct influence over it as a county commissioner, but a county commissioner can certainly have more influence than than an individual, and I feel like our county commissioners are not putting enough emphasis on it. We lost a hospital in Graysville. If anybody remembers the old hospital we had, we used to have a hospital in Lord Nolan, over in Fairfield. They used to have Caraway in North Birmingham. North Birmingham and Fairfield is not in my district, okay? But we used to go to Lord Nolan as a kid. I didn't go to the one in Graysville. But out here in Pleasant Grove and Adamsville and down toward West Jefferson, we don't have really a hospital to go to. We have to go over to Brookwood. I have to drive about 30 minutes. People in West Jefferson are probably having to drive an hour to the hospital. I'd like to see a hospital out in the county, in District 3. I would be okay with it being a little bit closer to Inslee, but I'd like to see it right here around Mulga, at the end of where I don't know if you know about 269, but it's 4 lane from the interstate all the way almost into Sylvan Spring. It's got a 4 lane there already that can handle the heavy traffic, or heavier than we have. And you could put a hospital right in there. You wouldn't have to upgrade that 269 as far as traffic flow. There'd be other stuff you have to do. But that place is kind of set up already for some development over there, and we need a hospital. And there's some stuff that pop up around it. But that would take a certificate of need. That would take trying to get a hospital in here. But that would be sort of like a personal goal of mine to try to get something like that done. All this stuff is just stuff you have to work on. As far as some economic development for District 3, and I've talked about this, I want to develop some of our creeks and streams and even parts of our river a little bit more for outdoor recreation, for some canoeing and hiking and some fishing. place over here in off of Minor Parkway. People will just get out of the car and park and go down there and fish. They're kind of trespassing, really. I think the county actually owns that, but they don't have any permission to do it. They don't stop them. But any little place like that where people are already going, you could put a concrete pad out there, some picnic table, maybe some lights, and a camera. You're going to have a camera from now on, just about, to protect your assets. Because people are tearing them up. If you can put that over there, and you can make that a destination. That it's already a destination, but make it a little bit better, make it feel a little safer for some people, make it feel like they're not trespassing, because they wouldn't be. And they can fish right there a little bit. Now you'd have to put up no fishing. You know, don't eat the fish out of that creek, because it's coming right out of heavy urban and industrial area, and you couldn't guarantee that people could eat the fish. But it's already a little recreation area that would help. Now I'd like to find spots like that and develop them. If you'll go online and look at your outdoor recreation, it's a big return relative to the investment you have to put in. It's cheap to kind of develop these areas, but for what you get back, it's one of the best investments for economic development. And you kind of do it in small areas. You don't have to just try to concentrate all in one area and drag people from 50 miles around. You have these little areas where the community can participate in that, and then you have one for the next one. And you don't do it based on the necessarily community. You base it on that natural resource there. You can read about it. It's a big deal, and communities are realizing a little bit of money spent relative to the money they're spending, they get a big return for it. A lot bigger than you would with this risky stuff they do. And you don't have to go in debt on it. $10,000, you develop a little fishing hole, more or less, and you make it where people can go out there and have lights. Anyway. All right. With all this being said, this depends on being able to work with people. All right. I had a lady tell me yesterday, or posted to me, about this racial deal in Birmingham. How's that got anything to do with District 3? Why does it matter? Birmingham is our county seat. What goes on in Birmingham affects District 3. What goes on in District 3 may not affect Birmingham. Our courthouse is in Birmingham. I'm going to try to not get upset about this. I wasn't upset about that at all. That's positive stuff I just read you. But what I'm fixing to read you is negative stuff. I'll tell you about. I was hoping racism was behind us. Part of my plans included me challenging something that's going on at Jefferson County. Because I thought it was behind us. I thought it was to a point that I could argue that it was behind us, and we could go forward. But it's not. We just saw it. And one of the posters that was wondering about my post put out yesterday, he wanted to know why I was saying that, and I sent him to a video, and he watched that video, and it's going on a radio station in Birmingham, and he put back, "Wow, what racism!" And then it's people's mad in Birmingham. Like I say, the news don't tell you about it until it actually happens. So don't be a news story. And when I'm fixing to show you, I was going to do a video just on this, explain this to you. And why that, part of that racism downtown. Of course, when I was going to tell you about this, what I'm fixing to tell you, and tell you I was going to challenge it, it was before this happened in Birmingham. But Jefferson County is under a consent decree. Let's see if you can read that. Can you see? Can you read that? A 40-year-old issue right here. It says, nearly 4 decades ago, the plaintiffs in these consolidated actions filed complaints against Jefferson County, Alabama, and others to enforce the provisions of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as amended by the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972. 40 years ago, they filed this. And they went into an agreement with Jefferson County that Jefferson County would self-regulate, more or less, and enforce the Civil Rights Act on this stuff, because they didn't admit guilt to violating it, but they just said, well, if we did do it, we'll self-regulate. Well, evidently they didn't self-regulate. Let me see. And it was a consent decree then, but it was, if I get my stuff mixed up, you can pull this offline, you can ask about it. Look how thick it is. I've read it, most of it. I got to try to get that down to video links. It says that the consent decree was ratified and approved by Judge Sam C. Porter Jr. and entered on December 29, 1982. It goes back to 1982, this consent decree. It says 25 years later, the Martin case of plaintiffs and Bryant class of plaintiff interveners filed a motion asking the court to hold Jefferson County in contempt for failing to comply with the requirements of its consent decree. 25 years later, they got back in court and said they're not complying. It says following extensive discovery and bench trials in 2009 and 2012 on the issues raised by the Martin Bryant parties motion, this court entered into a memorandum opinion and order on August 20th, 2013, adjudging Jefferson County to be in civil contempt for failing to comply with the requirements of the consent decree. 2013, they was judged to be in contempt of this consent decree. And finding that the remedy of appointing a receiver to direct, control, operate, manage, and administer all employment decisions by the county was warranted. Jefferson County has a receiver over them right now, and they have had one, I guess, since 2013. If you're going to get hired at Jefferson County, you've got to go through this receiver. He's up there right now. Jimmy Stevens doesn't hire. Tony Patelis doesn't hire. He hires. We're under federal control. I mentioned that in another video, but it's because of racism. Alright? Let me see this other part. It says, now therefore, based upon the Representation Council of the United States, Martin Bryant parties, Jefferson County Sheriff of Jefferson County, together with the evidence proceedings and discovery showing the connection of Martin Bryant, they to hold Jefferson County in civil contempt. It is ordered, adjudged, and decreed that the consent decree entered these consolidated proceedings on December 29, 1982 be, and the same hereby is modified to read as. And they modified it, and they're changing it. I mean, they're modifying it, but what they have in here is they have remedial actions. Here it is, right here. It says, remedial actions and practices required by the terms or permitted to effectuate and carry out the purposes of this consent decree shall not be deemed discriminatory within the meaning of paragraph 1, which is the provisions of Title 7. Okay? It also requires, let me see here, provision 42, and it says, and the parties hereto agree that they shall individually and jointly defend the lawfulness of such remedial measures in the event of challenge by any other party of this litigation, and by any other person or party who may seek to challenge such remedial measure through an intervention or collateral attack. In other words, they recognize these remedial actions somebody may file a lawsuit against them, and they're required to defend them. Well, they've been discriminating against white males up there at the county. White males are the last ones to get hired. They're hiring white females, black females, black males. And they hire some white males if they can't find anybody else and they have to have it filled. But they really putting these positions off to fill minority classes. And the white male is out. Okay? And I knew some men that got caught up in it and they didn't get the promotion. A white female got it. I looked into it. I went to the county and I handed out some little flyers that said even the white male can be discriminated against, and passed them out. Passed it out to the commissioner's office, passed it out to Tony Patelis. He got mad. Others got mad. He couldn't do anything. It was my legal right. I passed them out. When I went to run for office, I wanted to try to challenge this because this is a racial issue. They're being discriminatory against white males. They're trying to balance the employment out up there, okay? And I was going to try to argue against it and say, well, it's not necessary anymore. Because the county never admitted guilt. They never proved they was guilty. They just didn't want to fight it anymore. I can't fight this. I can't even bring this up anymore. I can't say nothing about that consent decree after what's happened in Birmingham. Even if I was to get it back in court, am I going to be able to prove that racism's over in Birmingham? I told a little man up there when I was handing him flyers out. He was a little short man, had a bow tie. I assumed he was a Muslim. I told him, I said, we got into kind of discussion there in the hallway, and I said, I think racism's over. 80% of it in the private sector. He said, no, it ain't over. I said, no, I think you're wrong. He said, well, let's say we was talking about the consent decree. He said, let's say we got rid of the consent decree. What we going to do about the last 200 years over slavery? I said, well, some stuff's just over with. Can't do nothing about it. I said, I can't do nothing about it. I said, we have to move forward. And of course, he didn't agree. I can discuss this with people. I'm not against people. They're not against me personally. I can't say nothing about this no more. I talked to a good friend of mine 2 weeks ago, works for the county. They're not being able to get help where they need it out on the roads because of this consent decree. This consent decree is one of the biggest issues in hiring people. It's over racism. You have a federal receiver doing the hiring at the county. This is the biggest hindrance. This and then the sewer rates as far as economic development. You've got the county's got to manage itself, and you have economic development. You've got to bring companies in here. Well, this keeps companies out. The county can't function properly. They can't provide the services you're paying for because they can't hire. You can't challenge this now. That's what just happened in Birmingham. It's all tied together, and then the county commission can have a big shakeup. And then got to try to work with people. If Jimmy wins, he got to try to work with people that he pretty much voted against. If I'm right, it's racism now. It's all back up. It's all back up to the top. You may not see it on the news, but the 2 county commissioners that I think is going to win is going in there because they didn't go along with the city vote, and they went along with what the citizens wanted. If Jimmy goes back in there and he went along with the stadium instead of against it, and his other 2 was against it, you got a conflict right there. And Jimmy will have to line himself with the other 2 commissioners, and they'll outnumber the other. There'll be 3 to 2. There'll be 3 that was for the stadium, if I'm correct, and you'll have 2 that's going to be against it. And they'll outnumber, and it'll come down to powers, rights, and powers. Legal rights and powers is all it'll come down to. Well, guess what this is? This consent decree. This is legal rights and powers backed up by a federal judge. That's all they can do up at that courthouse in county is fight. That's all they do is fight. They can't get along. They're 50, 60, 70-year-old people up there. They can't get along. We're set back. This consent decree goes back 40 years because we can't get along up there. They just did this in Birmingham. That set us back 30 years in politics. It didn't move us forward. The racial issues why Birmingham started losing population after the 1966 riots. I think it's 1966. It was a racial issue. Go look back, look at the population charts. It's still going on. Still going on. Can't even hire people because of the racism. I said the sewer was it. Well, it was because I thought this was behind us. Jimmy took care of that. And others. Racism is our biggest problem now. The consent decree will be here till they get good and ready to leave, which they won't now. They embolden this bad agreement, and it does allow for reverse discrimination. There ain't nothing can be done about it. You can't argue against it. They just shoved a stadium down Birmingham's throat. And if you saw that other video that I let that one poster watch, or he watched it himself, you'd see why I say what I'm saying about staying out of Birmingham till it calms down. I've got friends in Birmingham. I don't have to be the example. I ain't going to be. I'm smart enough. I ain't going to be. I can get along with people. I say that, kind of being cutting up, but I'm telling you, I'm not going to be the subject of a news article. Y'all, this is Rodney Watson. I still want to be your commissioner, but they set us back 30 years. And all the stuff that I want to do, you're going to be having to hold your hat in your hand working with people from now on in District 3. Jimmy went along with this. He went along with all this. Communities are about people being able to work together. They can work together, then they can go forward. if we can't work together, our community's not going to go. It's just not going to. You make your plans accordingly for yourself. I think they set it back 30 years. I still want to be your commissioner. But this is beyond winning a vote now, winning an election. I have a job. I don't have to have it. I do want it. I want it because I want to do something for our District 3. But just remember me June 5th. Vote the way you feel is best to vote. But you need to really be looking at your personal situation and knowing where we are today and make your plans accordingly, because we've been set back 30 years. Rodney Watson, June 5th. I got to beat Jimmy Stevens. You got a bunch of adults up there that can't get along with each other, and we're under a federal control. They just did this with this stadium. They didn't help us any of our racial issues. Race is the issue again, and it's going to hurt us. Business don't want to come be a part of this. They can go anywhere else in the country where it's not an issue. Thank you.